Okay, so I'm kind of starting the video with the end of the video. I just made a really long video talking about the difference between uh, Philodendron pedatums, Philodendron squamiferums, uh, Philodendron Floridas or Florida beauties, and then also the Florida ghost and the Florida beauty variegata. In this video that you're about to watch, I go through a lot of differences. However, upon reading something on Facebook, which seems to be the most knowledgeable and well thought out description of this, it seems, and somebody correct me if I'm wrong, but it seems like the easiest way to tell is the squamiferium, the stems leading up to the leaves are going to be really fuzzy. It's almost going to look like really fat Velcro loops. The pedatum is going to have sometimes green stems instead of red or brown. But the biggest telltale of a Philodendron pedatum is going to be a smooth stem, right? There's not going to be any of that like sandpaper looking grit, and you're not going to have any of that fuzziness or those kind of Velcro looking hook type things. And then we have the Florida beauty, which is going to have, this camera never wants to focus, but it's going to have those kind of bumps or that kind of like sandpapery texture. It's going to be hard to tell from, the camera never really wants to pick it up, but you see that? So as far as I can tell, that's going to be a telltale sign of a Florida beauty or a Philodendron Florida. But watch the rest of the video. I think I do a pretty good job of running through Philodendron pedatums versus squamiferums versus Florida ghosts versus Florida beauties, and kind of clearing up some of the confusion. But I'll link to this Facebook post that I'm referring to. Hope you enjoy the video. Hey, what's going on YouTube? You guys have tuned into Dat Plant Dude, and in today's video, we are going to be delving further into the confusion and the mystery of the Florida beauty variety of plants. There seems to be a lot of disagreement and a lot of confusion about these different varieties of plants. So what we're talking about Philodendron pedatums, Philodendron squamiferums, Florida beauties, Florida ghosts, and what I would call Florida beauty variegatas. Now, really, ultimately, there's two main plants. There's Philodendron pedatums, and there's Philodendron squamiferums. The squamiferums are pretty easy to tell. The stalks, basically, this area right here, is going to be really fuzzy. It's going to look like Velcro, basically. Think about Velcro with like really long, really wide, really long kind of like hoops or hooks. It's going to look like a really fuzzy kind of stem. The Philodendron pedatums, as opposed to, and I'll try to give you guys a closer look in a second. I'm just going to keep this video kind of froze here for a second until we get a closer look. But on the stems of this plant right here, you're not going to see fuzz and you're not going to see Velcro hooks. You're going to see little dots. And that's kind of a telltale sign of a pedatum. A couple other differences, a lot of times the leaf shape and colors can kind of cross over between the two plants. However, from most of them I've seen, the squamiferums tend to have darker leaves, and they tend to have darker leaves, and the leaves can be a little bit different. Like when I think of a Florida beauty or a Florida philodendron, I tend to think of like this shape of leaf. And with the squamiferums, sometimes you'll see a lot like wider, fatter leaves. Think about the pedatum as being, if we were to kind of think of it in the context of like marijuana plants, think of the pedatum as being more like a sativa and the squamiferum as being more of an indica in terms of like full wide leaves. Then these plants have been crossed a lot too. So you get all types of crosses between squamiferums and pedatums. A lot of people say that's what Florida beauties are, or that's what Florida ghosts are. Now let's get a little bit into Florida beauty variegata, and Florida ghost. So Florida ghost is going to be pretty easy to tell. The leaves are actually going to be white. Sometimes they're a bright, vibrant white. Sometimes they're a very pale white, but you're going to have white leaves. What kind of complicates this a little bit more is immature plants or younger plants oftentimes won't show their white leaves. And also, if your plant isn't getting a heavy amount of indirect light, it also is not going to form the white leaves either. So you may have a Florida ghost that is just all green and hasn't changed color. I'm not, to be quite honest with you, I'm not really sure how to verify that. Um, but it is possible to have a Florida ghost that isn't white. Then we have what I would call the Florida Beauty variegata. The Florida Beauty variegata is the plant where it's variegated, but as opposed to being white or having white specks, it's going to be kind of like neon yellow and green mixed colors on the leaves. Now, a lot of people, some people refer to pretty much anything in this entire family of plants, all the plants we've discussed. A lot of people will consider everything in this family to be a Florida Beauty. And then other people will scream at you and get upset with you if you have a Florida Beauty, and they'll say, you don't have a Florida Beauty, you have a Philodendron Pedatum. Or you don't have a Florida Beauty, you have a Philodendron squamiferum. And here's kind of my take. Here's what it really boils down to, or at least from all the research that I've done, here's the best answer that I can come up with. So you have Florida Pedatums, which I believe is what both of these plants are right here. You have Philodendron squamiferums, which I don't have one of those, but again, fuzzy stem. I personally would refer to this as a Florida Beauty. Now, a lot of people will go crazy and yell at me and say, you don't have a Florida Beauty, it's not variegated, it's not yellow. Well, the plant that is actually yellow is a Florida Beauty variegated, or a Florida Beauty variegata, and Florida Ghost is just another plant entirely. But if you think about Monstera albo, variegated Monstera albos, or Thai constellations, those plants cannot be grown from seed. You have to get them from a cutting or a culture sample. Why can't you grow those plants from seeds? Because there is no such plant as a Monstera albo variegated. There is no such plant as a Thai constellation. All of these are they're regular Monsteras, right? They're Monsteras, but they're Monsteras that have a, I guess for lack of a better word, a genetic mutation, and people like the white color of that mutation, and then people continue to clone those plants, and they can grow more plants from clones, and you get much more spread out there, and then those plants that people bought as clones, they wind up growing into adult plants and cloning those plants. But really, there's no such thing as a Thai constellation, and there's no such thing as a variegated Monstera albo. Again, these are abnormalities, they're variegations, they're irregularities, and then people just continue to propagate those plants. So I think in the same way that there's no such thing as a Thai constellation or a variegated Monstera albo, there's no such thing as a Florida Ghost or a Florida Beauty variegata. I shouldn't say there's no such thing. I mean, obviously they exist, but I guess kind of the point I'm trying to make is Florida Beauty variegatas and Florida Beauties are the exact same plant. It's just the Florida Beauty variegatas are Florida Beauties that have this adaptation, have this mutation that makes them variegated. So I may be wrong, I may be right. I've done a ton of research on these, and that's the best that I can come up with. I haven't really found a definitive source, or really like a super trustworthy source. There's a ton of people out there on the internet, on forums, on Reddit, who throw out their opinions, but a lot of this information is conflicting. And even when, quote unquote experts or people who really seem to know what they're talking about talk about this, it's a lot of like maybes, and this is what I think, and this is kind of the thought behind this. So the best that I can tell, again, we got Philodendron squamiferums, we got Philodendron pedatums, and anything else is just either a hybrid of the two or a variegation or abnormality between the two. And then here I'll kind of tell you guys a little bit about these plants. So this was the first plant that I got. If you watch my videos, you already know about this guy. When I first got it, it had this leaf and it had this leaf. Both times that I found these at the nursery, they've been in pretty rough shape. This, that leaf has almost been chewed completely through. It's really only being held on by the vein. This leaf here was pretty chewed up. After I got it, it first spit out this leaf, was like a really bright kind of neon green yellow. Not variegated, but like neon. Then this leaf was the next to pop. And then we had a little piece grow up there. This was the next leaf to pop. And we got another one that probably sometime in the next couple weeks is going to be coming in as well. These leaves are, there's one thing I was wanting to check out. So a lot of people say if it's red underneath there, it's a Florida beauty. I guess I would consider that red. Oh, and you know what? Normally I can't get this to show, so the camera's actually focusing really well right now. So actually it was, right? Okay, so you guys see, where's my finger? Can you guys see? It's almost like a sandpaper. It's kind of like dots. If this were a squamiferum, it would be like really fuzzy and a lot fatter. A lot of people say if it's red right around there where the stem meets the leaf, that means it's a Florida beauty, and we do kind of have that going for it. Let me give you a closer look at these leaves. I just think these leaves are so pretty, both the textures and kind of the deep colors to them. That leaf, as you can see, is very different. This one's a little bit darker. Same with this one. I notice when they come in this like really pretty light green, and then they wind up kind of darkening up a little bit. There's one of the older leaves. And then this guy here, I picked up from the nursery, and I'd posted some pictures online, and everybody's yelling at me like, that's not a Florida beauty. That nursery mislabels stuff all the time. For all I know, the nursery could be wrong, but it says Florida Beauty Philodendron. Large, deeply cut leaves are contrasted with deep something stems. Fast grower that trails or climbs up any support. Tropical, prefers bright light and even moist soil. So the nursery at least had this labeled as a Florida Beauty Philodendron. And this is one I just recently picked up. Unfortunately, man, all the Florida Beauties have been in really, really rough shape. This one's not horrible. It's not the best. As you can see here, this leaf is really dark. This is about as dark as I've seen Florida Beauty Pedatums. And I was wondering, like, is this a squamiferum? But yeah, it does look like a pedatum. It's definitely not fuzzy here. It's got this weird little kind of misformed leaf. This leaf isn't in bad shape. We got this leaf here, which seems a little bit misformed. And one of the reasons I bought this one is it was one of the healthier looking plants, but it also had some new growth here. As you can see here, we have a leaf that's just getting ready to unfurl. Today is Monday. I think it's the 22nd or 23rd. I'm going to say this leaf is probably going to pop about a week from now, probably next Monday or Tuesday. It looks a little bit chewed up there. We'll see if it's a, it looks like the leaf ripped as it was unfurling. We'll see what this leaf looks like when it pops out, how healthy it is. And then we have the makings of another new leaf here that probably a couple weeks after this one here pops will wind up popping as well. Let's see if we can see the bottom side. See, this one doesn't look nearly as deep red as this one, but again, this plant's a lot younger, and this plant isn't in the healthiest of shape. But here are my two, what I'm going to call Florida Beauties. If you guys know more, if you have a differing opinion than me, go ahead and drop a comment down below. I'd love to hear your thoughts or hear what kind of I'm missing. But I've been doing a ton of research on these plants over the last couple months, and that's kind of the best that I can put together in terms of how to tell the difference, what the different variations or species of this plant are. So drop your comments. Let me know what you guys have to say. If you enjoyed this video, give it a thumbs up. If you're not subscribed to the channel, hit that subscribe button below, and we'll catch you guys on the next video.